Democrats. Today is Wednesday, November 8th, and it's time for the Chair's Daily Live. Happy Wednesday. Well, it's Wednesday, the day after Election Day all over America, not in Oklahoma, but it is a great day to be a Democrat. It is a great day to be a Democrat. Youngkin, which I shouldn't know who he is, the governor of Virginia, was all over the news talking about how he was going to make everything all extremely conservative in Virginia, and he got his hat handed to him. It's wonderful. Congratulations to the chair of Virginia, Susan Swecker, and the hard work that they did there. Congratulations to Ohio for preserving a women's right to choose in Ohio. Congratulations to the governor of Kentucky, a Democrat governor in a red state. And so you love to see that. So it is really great news. Notice I didn't say anything about Oklahoma. Here's the thing. I'm going to celebrate other people's successes, and I'm going to talk to all those other chairs and figure out how we can import some of that luck and some of that good fortune and some of those tips and tricks back to Oklahoma so we can make a difference here. But until then, I'm going to talk about some stuff more locally. And today is a special day. Today, we're going to be joined by the vice chair of the Oklahoma Democratic Party. And this is a big deal. He agreed to be on my Facebook Live, even though he doesn't have social media. But he is a font of information, and I wanted to make sure that you guys got to enjoy what it is to be around Cory Williams. So join me in welcoming Cory Williams. Hey, Cory.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Madam Chair. Appreciate it.
Thank you. So when I was looking for a vice chair, one of my big things is I wanted someone who knew something about the legislature, because I've never served and have no plan of serving on that capacity. And so, A, thank you for joining, and B, thank you for agreeing to run. Yeah. So I rarely get to go around the state without people saying to me, why haven't we impeached Ryan Walters? I think it too.
I think any sane person actually does.
But I know that there is a process, right?
There is, and it's not dissimilar to the impeachment process in the U.S. Congress. It's got to start over in the House and then have an impeachment trial over in the Senate and be convicted by 2/3 of the majority of the Senate. But he is removable, but that would require our legislature to have a backbone. And I think that you see time and again, that is not something we are known for in the Oklahoma House. Or really the Senate. And the Senate has indicated that they have no plans on removal. And therefore, the House, who I hear actually would have the votes to impeach, won't act because they don't want to act in a vacuum. If the Senate's not going to move forward with something, then they don't want to start it on the House side. So I guess by extension, that means they're perfectly fine with Ryan Walters saying what he says, doing what he does, leading in the manner that he fails to lead, and spending money arbitrarily despite procedure and protocol and state law and federal law. By extension, and not impeaching him, they are implicitly saying, we're okay with all of your violations of law. We're fine with your violations of both federal and state law and funding and everything else. And so that's a really odd spot to be in, because if you talk to most of them, they all have some kind of pushback and some kind of, no, we don't think he's doing it right. But they will not take the affirmative step at fixing it.
So there are two schools of thought, right, with regards to a fight. Some people, you say you pick a fight whether you can win it or not so that folks can know what you stand for. And then some folks say it's not worth it to pick the fight because I'm not real sure, because I'm more of the pick the fight side. Right. What do you think?
Oh, I think you fight the fights worth fighting. You don't fight the fights because you can win them. You fight the fights because they're worth fighting. They're worth showing people that we stand for principle, that we stand with the Constitution. We believe that when Congress enacts a law and gives governing principles, that they should be followed. We believe when the Oklahoma legislature enacts laws and guiding principles, they should be followed. And so those are fights worth fighting. You know, you're not always going to come out on top. I actually can't see in this particular situation how you would come out on the bottom. You know, the public doesn't get a vote when it comes to regarding impeachment unless one of the things I was always shocked by is how much people cared about their reelection in the state house, primarily, which is where I was hanging out. Is a lot of their votes were not principle-based votes. A lot of their votes were not even constituent-based votes. A lot of their votes were based on getting reelected. And so maybe they think that by picking this fight, it would make their reelection campaign harder, which is really no real reason to take a stand or not take a stand, as the case may be.
I respect those who fight the fight. I respect those who fight the fight that basically the constituents want. I mean, I don't, and yes, arguably I step into a lot of Democrat-filled rooms, but I am a citizen of this state. I'm all over the place, and I haven't encountered anybody who approves of the job that he's doing. Just haven't.
Yeah.
But I don't know his mom. I don't know his mom.
You might be surprised. There are plenty of moms out there that don't really approve of what their sons are doing. So I'm sure she voted for him, but mainly out of mom guilt than anything else. I don't know. It is. There used to be differences in policies but really not differences in principles. And in this new Republican Party, I see a complete abandonment of principles to solely to retain power, and that's it. Like, they'll tell you, hey, that's not my guy. He's not doing it the right way. He should be doing it this way. But hey, I'm not going to do anything about it because it's my guy. And it's just an odd, unprincipled place to be. So
speaking of unprincipled, let's talk about the governor and his announcing his idea for sports betting without.
It was a perfect transition.
Thanks for the setup. But no, really. So full disclosure, you're a citizen of Cherokee Nation.
I am. Absolutely.
And you work for the tribe as well?
I do. I work for the business unit of Cherokee of the tribe. The Cherokee Nation Businesses is a single shareholder entity. Our sole shareholder is the Cherokee Nation. So if the governor had conferred with Cherokee Nation with regards to sports betting, would that have come across your chasm, your transom at any? Oh, I would absolutely know about it. Yeah, certainly I would not be the one at the table. The chief and his cabinet are absolutely some of the most preeminent and qualified people in the country. But yeah, we would have known for sure. And it's not unlike our illustrious governor to decide to move forward without really anybody going with him. You know what they call a leader with no followers?
Well, I feel like he is. They call him what?
Just a guy out taking a walk.
But this is consistent with what he does. He's kind of a ready, fire, aim. He has an idea. He goes out and does it without like dotting his I's and crossing his T's.
Right, which is the reason that we haven't moved forward a single piece of life-altering or life-empowering legislation in his now term in a year, whatever it is.
So, as I learned about that, I went looking for more things that he supposedly cares about. And, he had the commission on homelessness that he just ended unceremoniously because it wasn't fixing it, because
it doesn't exist anymore.
And so do you think that there's any chance that he'll get any traction on this sports betting?
No, the problem is the fundamental lack of understanding of how government works and how our interactions with the sovereign nations work, or caring what the courts think. And so I don't think there's any chance that his proposal as launched has any validity or traction. The state and the tribes have been having a conversation regarding sports betting probably at least a decade, if not longer. I know it was a conversation that we were having when I was there. It was looked at as part of the overall reform and tax package whenever we had the teacher walkout back in 17 and 18. And so it's not a new idea, and the tribes are I think would love to play a role in it, and I think constitutionally have a role to play in it. I don't think the state just gets to go out and do that. And I think the good news is I think the Senate and the House both kind of understand that. They get it already. The lawyers all certainly understand it. The only person that doesn't understand it is the governor, and he's very much I can do what I want, when I want, however I want person, which is great if you're a CEO. You can run your business like that. It's not a great way to run a business, but arguably you can do it. That doesn't translate to state government, nor should it, by the way. People are like, oh, you should run government like a business. Like, no, actually, you shouldn't. Business chases capital. Government is about making people's lives better. And those are fundamentally different things. So every time I hear somebody say, oh, he's just trying to run it like a business, like, that's not how it works, because business doesn't serve everybody. Business serves a shareholder. Government serves everybody.
But I also think we're seeing how that plays out, right? What's going on in New York, where we had a president try to run the company like a business, and then it turns out that his business was a fraud.
Well, yeah, I mean, our own governor is banned from doing business in certain states, and so like even behaving like that in a business world has its issues. But if you want to do that, that's fine. Like I'll let the investigators handle that. But when it comes to handling our government like that, what it ends up doing is everybody says they don't like lawyers. You're the lifetime employment arm of law. How many lawsuits are we in currently as a state? A multitude of them, most of them avoidable.
Right. I mean, like the over 800,000 that we've spent as a state fighting tribes on multiple different things. It's almost $1 million to lose.
Only to lose.
Right, to lose.
Consistently. And for whatever reason, and I don't know what bone he has to pick, but he just refuses to acknowledge sovereignty, equality. I would say that it's latent racism, but I don't think it's latent at all.
It's not latent at all.
There.
It's not latent at all. When he goes out and says, the speed limit is this for most of Oklahoma, but it's something, the penalties for speeding is this for Oklahoma, penalties for speeding is something else. He's trying to divide us as a state.
Sure.
He's trying to make everybody mad at tribal citizens. But to what end?
I don't know, because if the state were to not have the tribes, if you take out the massive investment that the tribes have made in infrastructure, in healthcare, you take that out, the state would be bankrupt. No chance that they have the ability to fill those gaps. As a legislator, I always felt lucky to have the tribes to be able to partner with us, because we were otherwise pretty broke and not able to provide adequate health care for somebody in Northeast Oklahoma, or unwilling to provide retired access in Southwest Oklahoma, and or build that bridge that needs to be rebuilt. It's one of two things. You're either broke or you're unwilling. Which one do you want to be? But that was us.
I think that this current governor is kind of, I don't know if he's broke, because he's bragging about the savings. So we have this big $9 billion in savings per one of his press releases. And so it feels like an unwillingness.
Yeah, I think that's true. That's absolutely true.
All right, so that's been depressing. Let's talk about something exciting. What's your take on what happened last night all over the state, all over the nation? It's
encouraging. It's almost inspirational, and it's not really that surprising. I believe that most people want to be governed in the middle, and I believe that fundamentally, whenever abortion's on the ballot, and doesn't mean if it's at the top of the ballot or anywhere else on the ballot, the extreme positions are not going to win. And so, but living in the middle of being a blue dot in the middle of a really red sea here, it was absolutely encouraging and good food for the soul.
And that's exactly how I felt about it. And so we talked about the superintendent of public instruction, which is always infuriating. We talked about the governor, which is maddening, but I wanted us to end on a positive note. And last night was a positive note. It gave me hope.
Sure.
Right. I know some of the architects of those wins. I know some of the people who did the work, and it's like I can call on them and say, hey, give us some tips.
Right. Congratulations. And let's talk about how we do that here. No, it's great. I mean, Ohio rebuffed anti-abortion not once, but twice in just a couple of months. And I mean, that's fantastic. If you step back and you go, oh, Ohio is this liberal bastion, nobody says that about Ohio. And so
it is not.
to see them step up and protect a woman's right to access and choice in healthcare, it's a big deal. And, Kansas, I think a lot of people were surprised, and maybe it was viewed as an anomaly, but now you're starting to see, no, that's actually pretty regular everywhere across the board.
Right. And that was the thing. And abortion, though it wasn't actually a thing to check, was on the ballot in Virginia. And
Sure.
That's how they have a Republican governor. And now both chambers, both of their legislative chambers are now Democrat, because they're voting for protection, but they're also voting for diverse representation.
Yes. Yeah, there was some firsts that were elected. I saw that Philadelphia has their first woman mayor. That's very exciting.
I mean, how are we in 2023 and a major metropolitan like Philadelphia is just now getting a woman leader?
I have to tell you, I actually thought the exact same thing. I mean, I thought there has to be some other qualifier attached to that woman portion, because surely in 2023 that is not a thing. And like, no, that's absolutely a thing. They have gone this long without a woman as their chief executive for the city. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, so it's just wonderful. Virginia elected their first Muslim representative. We beat them to it, but they have their first Muslim representative. They have their first openly trans person that they elected, and so it's just the diverse representation all over the nation, making our representation look more like our citizens. I think is a wonderful thing.
Absolutely, like representation should reflect the population. So it's glad to see that happening.
Absolutely. Well, Cory, thank you for joining me. I know you won't be able to watch this because you don't have social media. So, but thank you for joining me.
I know on YouTube.
There you go. I know a lot of folks will be glad to see you. You guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll be back here tomorrow at 4:15.
Sounds good. Thank you.